Panther people, what up? Panthers lose to the Atlanta Falcons, but it's not Andy Dalton's fault. His defense, man, it's bad. What's going on? You're watching Panthers Post. It's Thanksgiving here in Canada, so I am here slightly puffy, slightly stuffed up because of the stuffing that I ate, a little bit of bourbon that I had as well, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, a couple cigars as well. So I did not watch the Panthers game live, but I sat there like a fool at like almost midnight, just sipping some bourbon, watching this team, because I had a sinking feeling that this actually would have been a pretty good game. I got a text message from my buddy, he's not a Panthers fan, just complimenting, just giving all these words of praise for Xavier Leggett, saying that he's what Kelvin Benjamin was marketed to be back in the day. And I was like, don't tell me anymore. It sounds like he had a big game. Don't tell me anything. And so I watched this game thinking that Xavier Leggett would have a great game. And he did have a very good game. But before we get to that, it's very odd. My algorithm knows, obviously, that I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. And this week alone, compared to all the other weeks, I was getting inundated with Luke Kuechly throwback videos, hype videos of the kind of man that he was off the field, Clark Kent, on the field, an absolute monster. He wasn't Superman. He was Doomsday. He was just a madman. Doomsday with a high IQ. So I got highlights of that with like all this melodic music, all this retrospective type stuff. And then I also got a video about that Thursday night football game against the Philadelphia Eagles where he was kind of crying, confused, stifling. It was one of the most tragic things I have ever seen on a football field. Doesn't matter as a Carolina Panther or not. That's why I put his jersey up here, because I also messages to my buddies who sent me these videos that, yeah, the Carolina Panthers are still trying to replace Cam and what he meant on the offensive side of the ball, to the city, to the culture, everything. But they have been still searching to find somebody who is like Luke Kuechly, and they still have not done that. And you could almost argue that his absence, his abrupt retirement, has been as detrimental to this team as Cam Newton's. Because this man, if you talk to any Panther, any opponent, he was like Peyton Manning on the defensive side. He was calling out 40% of offensive plays. He knew exactly, and not only was he calling it out, he could catch up to guys. He could tackle for loss. You could outsmart the quarterback, outsmart the offensive coordinator. It was like having a defensive coordinator on the field and an all-pro Hall of Fame linebacker at the exact same time. And now that he's gone, like Shaq has not filled that spot. That's why it was so tough to be Shaq, because he was with TD and with Luke Kuechly, and he never fulfilled that role. And nobody on the defense can do what he does. Still, very few people can do that in the NFL. So if you don't have a Luke Kuechly, you don't have a Shaq, you don't have a Derek Brown, you traded away Brian Burns, you got J.C. Horn who does his own thing. Like he's got his own problems out there. There really is, there's no one on this team that can lead this defense right now, and it is showing. And I'll say, when the Panthers lost to the Atlanta Falcons last night, like 36-20, that it is evident that the defense just does not have the horses to keep games close. It used to be that way when you had your Frankie Luvu's, Derek Browns, Brian Burns, J.C. Horns for 8. Also, silver lining, J.C. Horn's still playing. That's pretty good. Guy's staying healthy. The offense was struggling, but the defense, as battered and beat up as they were, you still had those blue chip players keeping them in games where the offense just couldn't sustain drives. They couldn't score points. Now everything's flipped. You got an offense that can run the ball. You got an offense that can throw the ball. But yes, it's an offense that makes mistakes, but the defense is not good enough to make you not pay for those mistakes. You make a mistake on the offensive side, whether it's Bryce or Andy throwing the ball, then you're screwed, because the other team can do whatever it wants. It can run at will. It can pass at will, and the defense cannot do anything. They held up for a little bit. Normally, even when the defense was stacked, like anything seems stacked compared to what we have right now, but they would keep it pretty close to games until the very last bit of the fourth quarter, and then someone like a Bijan Robinson break up a 75-yard run type thing, and then the game is over. But it seems like this team, with this defense, with the guys that they have right now, it's like mid-third, early third, and then things start to fall apart because it was close. It was like a 5-point game at one point, and the defense just, at one point, it felt like Drake London. Like I thought I was rewinding constantly, but I was like, why is Drake London always open? Like why is Kyle Pitts all of a sudden, making these big chunk plays? Like it was just, things were happening repeatedly, like at will, like where I thought I was rewinding the game, but actually, it was actually moving forward in time and space, but the defense just kept not being good. So this team needs help defensively. If you're sending me a mock draft and it's Shedeur Sanders, who's not coming to Carolina, if it's Cam Ward or Jalen Miller on the first, as much as I want Jalen Miller so bad on this team, I just don't think they're quarterback away. You need somebody who has a good grasp of the offense and then can, obviously Andy Dalton made mistakes, but if you want to talk about what we did to Bryce, about messing up his mental health, messing up his confidence, if you have a rookie quarterback out there making mistakes, they have to be absolutely perfect if they want to succeed. Because if they don't, they're going to have to hand it back to a defense who is so beat up right now, has no talent right now, without Derek Brown, without Shaq Thompson, who's probably done playing right now, unless he wants to come back. That'd be crazy. Like, you're expecting a rookie quarterback to be perfect, and they're not going to be perfect, and that's only going to mess with their confidence even more. You need to build up this defense. Let's talk about the offense. So, Dave Canales already said that Andy Dalton is going to be starting against the Washington Commanders next week, which I can't believe they're taking on the Commanders next week. It's going to be absolutely crazy. It could be a potential bloodbath. I don't know what the spread is right now, but if it's like plus double digits, I would take it. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be so tough to watch. You need somebody who has somewhat of a grasp and a confidence and a confidence that they are managing and have a control of the offense, and that is Andy Dalton. He brought it to a 5-point game leading into halftime. He had less than 2 minutes to go, finding Xavier Legette, connecting with him. Xavier Legette high pointing the ball, looking great. His second touchdown as a pro thus far. Andy Dalton brought the team out to a 7-point lead. He found Deontay Johnson, who had a great game as well. Nice catches, clutch catches, strong hands, strong routes, strong after the catch ability as well. Andy Dalton's the guy who's going to give you your best chance of something functioning on the offensive side of the ball, because right now the defense is dysfunctional. They do not have the talent. Where Trevin Wall's doing his thing. J.C. Horn had moments as well. That guy, the amount of near picks that he has is tough to watch. But putting in Bryce Young right now, and I'll say it, Bryce Young on the sidelines looks happy. He looks relieved. He looks like he's kind of enjoying the game. He's enjoying, like, no pressure on him right now. He put it on the old guy who's 36 years old. He's the old cowboy. He's doing what he's got to do. And so I think if you put Bryce back out there with this defense, he's going to make mistakes. And then he's going to be hurt even more that he's letting his team down, because I just think Bryce, there are things that just simple things that Andy Dalton is doing that we had not seen Bryce do. Just climbing the pocket, reading defenses, making the right moves. He did not get sacked. The offensive line was looking good. Just throwing guys open, finding guys in tight windows. We know what we have with Deontay Johnson. We know what we have with Xavier Legette. We weren't getting that with Bryce. And now we have a better idea of this offense that it's not crap. Last week was rough against the Bears. But this week, you saw Andy Dalton did not get touched at all with backups at center, with Austin Corbett out and Taylor Moton out, who should be back eventually. But Andy Dalton didn't get touched. Chuba Hubbard almost at the 100-yard mark. Whereas two running backs for the Falcons hit. One hit the 100-yard, Bijan Robinson, and then Algiers was just touching the 100-yard mark. I think he had more than 100 total yards. But the offense is not the problem. Like, yes, Andy made mistakes, and he talked about how he pressured that ball and they're throwing into triple coverage. And it was funny because Mark Sanchez on the broadcast was talking about how, Andy at this point in his life and this point of his career isn't trying to force it, not trying to prove anybody, not trying to make flashy plays. He just wanted to do the right play. And there was this check down was open, and there he was, running out of the pocket, forcing it into triple coverage, which is what Bryce Young was doing. And that ends up with a pick to kind of seal the deal in the game. I know he had another pick, but the game was already far gone by that point. Yeah, that's all. Andy's he has command of the offense. I feel confident when he's back there. I'm not scared. With Bryce, I'm kind of scared. It seems like Andy is always dissecting the defense, figuring stuff out, making commands, telling everybody what to do, where to move, and then he connects throws. He moves the chains forward. I'm not afraid of third and longs because he's out there. I'm not saying that he's a game breaker. I'm not saying that. He is less than what Geno Smith is doing for the Seahawks, even though they're probably going to have their own conversations about Geno right now in Seattle. But I think Andy is the bridge quarterback that we've been waiting for. And if you want to have him there next year, you sign him to a 2-year deal, and then either Bryce Young is still in the building and he has a full season and an off season to figure things out on his personal side, on the football side, great. And then eventually they turn to him when he's ready to go, literally ready to go. Pull a Jordan Love here. But if you want to sign Andy to a 2-year deal, and then either Bryce Young's here or not, or you take a flyer on a late-round quarterback, because I think they should be focusing on best player available on the defensive side in the draft, I think that's the way to go. He is the bridge quarterback that we've been waiting for. We don't have a Geno Smith. There's nobody there right now. There's no retreads. I don't think there's any retread out there, whether it's a Gardner Minshew or I don't even know who else. Jacoby Brissett. I think Andy's the guy for the bridge position, unless Geno Smith becomes available, and then maybe you can have that conversation. But I think the fact that Seattle would not want to pay him should be a message to us that maybe that's not the next move. But anyways, I don't think Andy's a problem. I don't think they should bring in Bryce. I think Bryce, if he were to be put in, I think all that confidence and joy that I'm seeing on the sidelines, I think that'll be alleviated because the second he makes a mistake, this defense will make us pay. And then he has to go out there and try to compete again offensively, and it's just not going to happen because I just don't think he has a command of the offense right now. And so that's how I feel. Keep Andy in. This defense is going to have a tough time this week coming up against the Commanders. I thought they can keep it close against the Falcons, which I thought they did at one point, but it kind of broke down in the third quarter. If they had a Derek Brown, Shaq Thompson healthy, even Frankie Louvu, if he decided, he was also in my algorithm. I had Frankie Louvu in my algorithm as well, obviously because the Commanders were playing a big game against the Ravens. But even if you had a guy like that in the defense, I think this game would have been a bit closer. Anyways, they don't have the horses. That's just the way it's going to be. We just got to know that, and the offense got to keep flying. Too bad Adam Thielen's going to be out for a while with that hamstring because I thought he added that reliability as well. But Jalen Coker, he had some nice catches. Jatavion Sanders had some good moves as well. It's up to the young guys. And Andy, 36-year-old Red Rifle. The Ginger Avenger. I think I like that instead. Let me know what you guys think. Do you want Bryce in? Do you think the defense is the main problem? Let me know what you guys think. Comments below.